Hi, my name is Anna Ybarra, and this is my interpersonal communication project for Liberty University's HSCO 508 course. In this class, we learned our present personal listening and communication style and how it's influenced by our behavioral blends. We reflected on our unique behavioral blends and identified areas where our communication can improve, and hopefully most of us created a plan on how we can achieve this. We also discussed common communication barriers and how to avoid them, or how to deal with them if they're presented. Our unique behavioral blend we discovered through the Uniquely You assessment by Carbonell. Carbonell says that we are all a blend of 4 personality types: D, I, S, and C, or DISC. The D personality is active, task-oriented. They are dominating, decisive. They are the doers in an organization. The I personality type is active but people-oriented. So they're doers too, but they're very people-interested. They are influential, inspiring, interactive. The S personality type is passive but people-oriented. They're also very people-forward, but they're more servant, submissive, shy, but stable. C personality type is passive, task-oriented. So they're cautious, compliant, competent. Supervisors may love them because they keep their head down and they do their work and produce a good product. My unique behavioral blend is divided into 2 parts. What I think is expected of me, that's more of the professional public side of me, and the this is me. What I think is expected of me is very high in C and very low in I and D. So my professional self is compliant, careful, contemplative, calculating. I put a lot of thought into what I'm doing, and it is very task specific. It's definitely not people specific. It also kind of goes along with being introverted. I'm not dominant, demanding, or directing, and I just don't put myself out there for a lot of people. I really go to work to do the best job that I can, and not even in a grumpy way. It's just I'm very task-oriented and very high in C. Carbonell says that for this personality type, it means that I think other people expect me to fix their problems. I think that's definitely true. I usually give advice. That's usually my go-to communication response, which I see as now a communication error. But part of my behavioral blend is I definitely think that. I think other people expect perfection or near perfection from my work. I think getting the job done is more important than building relationships with the people I'm doing a job with. And I tend to prepare better than most, but not enjoy really working with other people. And again, that's not because I don't like people or anything like that. It's because my personality likes rules, likes specific jobs and directions on how to do what it is that I need to do. Often when you're put in groups, you're just kind of left to fend for yourself of who does what part. That gives me anxiety. That's not my personality type. My this is me behavioral blend, so who I am really at home, is still very high in C, very low in I, but it is significantly higher in D and S than it was on my professional side. Carbonell says that these differences between the 2 graphs mean I suppress my decisiveness in public. I feel people don't want me to be as outwardly sensitive as I really am at home with my family. I don't want to disappoint people, and I can be very sensitive at times. I agree with all of those statements. My behavioral blend does present its own communication errors, relates to its own errors. Like I said, I naturally want to advise, and if I'm advising, I'm not listening. I am constantly planning. If I am trying to think ahead about what someone has come to me with, how I'm going to fix their problem, if I'm thinking about all these things, I'm not listening. I'm what Peterson calls ritual listening. Other errors that my behavioral blend presents is I'm very cautious. Being overly cautious keeps me from connecting with others on a deeper level. Stewart says quality of communication affects quality of life. Communication is the basis of all relationships, and I agree, I probably do miss out on a lot of relationships because I'm just not communicating, I'm keeping to myself. Also, I'm task-driven, not people-oriented. If I put task over people, then I'm missing out on their valuable knowledge and their collaboration. Other issues that arise in interpersonal communication, especially with myself, is what Peterson describes as flat brain syndrome. Flat brain syndrome is a result of what Peterson says is built up emotions, past hurts, hang-ups, things like that, that we haven't really worked through. Peterson says that our emotional core is in our stomach. And if we have that residue building up, it hardens our heart. Once our heart is hardened, the buildup continues, kind of squishes our brain. If our brain is flat, we're not seeing things that we're supposed to see, we're not seeing clearly, we're not hearing things as intended, and it affects our communication. I certainly see how that applies to me. My behavioral blend, how this relates to my behavioral blend is I'm overly cautious of people. I think that this is largely attributed to past hurts by people close to me. This caution is keeping me from experiencing the good. It's, carrying around the bad and keeping me from experiencing the good. HSCO 508 did provide several resources in our reading of how to deal with communication errors and overcome communication errors. The ones that I connected with the most was Stewart using the inhale-exhale method. Inhaling is the perceiving and listening, exhaling is expressing and disclosing. This resonates with me because he discusses how you must stay present. I have to stay present. One of my biggest communication errors is I am not always there when people are talking to me. I am thinking ahead, planning, thinking about advice I could give in response. I have to stay present, and that's going to take some effort. Peterson teaches us that there's 4 things that we need to do to overcome internal factors that affect our communication. Those 4 things are reduce emotional disturbances, clarify thinking, build supportive relationships, and increase our self-confidence. I plan on practicing these by taking a closer emotional inventory on a daily basis, journaling, praying, meditating, handing things over to God more often than I do. Building supportive relationships is twofold. I think building supportive relationships will help me achieve self-confidence. So that's 2 birds with 1 stone. I just need to put myself out there and practice some of these skills. Why I want to change? It's very easy to say, I've gotten this far, I've been successful to this point, I don't really have to change that much. But I do want to change because poor listening hinders relationships building. Roland says that people judge competency and whether they want to further a relationship with you based on the first few minutes of communication. So it's very important to be good at it. And a reputation as someone who doesn't work well with other people isn't going to get you very far professionally. You can miss out on special tasks and collaborations, think groups, things like that. Also, Christ calls us to be neighborly, loving, and understanding. We have to be empathetic and there for people. I hope that this presentation gave you an idea of what I learned personally in our interpersonal communication class and how I plan on using what I learned to better my communication. I thank you for all of your feedback and support through this class.